It might have been a while since you have seen a JoJo video on YouTube, and there is a reason for that. As you can see, most popular JoJo games are dying or are dead. The two games that stood out when the JoJo genre was at its peak were A Universal Time and Your Bizarre Adventure were the two most popular games at the time. To understand why these games were made and why they died, we need to first see what was the inspiration behind these games. In 1987, a manga named JoJo's Bizarre Adventure would release. This manga was written and illustrated by Hirohiko Araki, and would go on to become one of the most memorable series ever created, with perfect storylines and plots along with weird comedy and brutal scenes. And who else can forget their themes? But there was one thing that was unique than everything else. The one thing that everyone had their eyes set on the whole time. Stands. These unique humanoid abilities that most characters had drew everyone's attention, so people started creating them in-game and drawing attention, since you could now actually use a stand in-game and creating more hype for these games. But why did it die? The manga was going well, and even the anime. It was almost as if there were no negative views about it, so why is it dying? Well, the answer is fairly simple, and there are a few reasons for its decline. This decline is due to greedy developer practices, like there was an incident stating that the game A Universal Time used stolen assets. And sometimes due to some small mistakes, like the time when everyone was spamming time stop in Your Bizarre Adventure, making the game unplayable, or sometimes because of its toxic nature. These aren't really the main issues. Most JoJo games have already made most stands and game modes from the anime. Some games have tried to make stands from the manga too, but it's probably harder to animate a stand since you don't really know how it would actually look when released in the actual anime. So most developers wait for it to release in anime, making the game dead since there are less updates, and the only updates they usually have is some new skin or an event. But there are some games like A Universal Time which takes abilities and characters from different animes. A Universal Time updates monthly to ensure better updates, but that doesn't seem to be working since most updates are bad or creates hype for a couple hours and dies off instantly. A Bizarre Day, a game that used to be the #1 JoJo game, had a different story since the main owner of the game had no more motivation to continue development of the game and gave it to the co-owner who had no experience in game development and turned it into a sandbox game. Most of the developers quitted, leaving the game with no updates, and the game basically fell off. So it doesn't seem like the JoJo genre will revive until a new anime drops or updates get more interesting so that more would play them on a daily basis.